Yeah, but anyway, we're going to walk it forward. And the hits keep coming from the weekend Democratic debate. And here's what Hillary Clinton said about the progress of the U.S. fight against ISIS.
We now finally are where we need to be. We have a strategy and a commitment to go after ISIS, which is a danger to us as well as the region.
Many of the Republican candidates pounced on those comments, saying they made the former Secretary of State appear out of touch.
With dead bodies in Paris, with dead bodies in San Bernardino, and with no plan from this administration about how to deal with it, we're finally where we need to be. I mean, Mrs. Clinton is Mrs. Happy Talk. And she just wants to happy talk her way to the presidency.
How did the American people supposed to feel when they feel as vulnerable as ever to these terrorist attacks, and you have a president and a leading contender for the Democratic primary arguing, oh, everything's going great, we've got this really good plan in place, and it's starting to work? They live in two different universes.
Incredible, honestly. Somehow a UN resolution about Syria puts us where we need to be. I think it is a reflection of Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama's belief that our foreign policy gets set by others, that she's gotten every single foreign policy challenge wrong. And no, Mrs. Clinton, we are not where we need to be.
Wow. Well, you know what? If you didn't get it there, maybe you'll get it here. A new Fox News poll indicates Americans say we are not where we need to be on taking out the Islamic State savages. Just 33% approve of President Obama's handling of the fight.
In 1976, Gerald Ford, in a presidential debate, made the claim that there was no Soviet domination of Eastern Europe, and that began the precipitous decline of his candidacy because it showed him as so out of touch on foreign policy. I think the same liability exists here for Secretary Clinton. Furthermore, while I think all these Republicans are right to begin to focus in on this, because this was a big gaffe. I mean, I know the media is trying to help her out a little bit, and some of her colleagues are rushing to say, well, she was referring specifically to the UN Security Council, which is in and of itself kind of esoteric nonsense. The reality is, it's more than what they're saying. Hillary Clinton was part of the policy of which the byproduct was ISIS. And as we decide that this is an intelligence failure or a military failure and the whole goal of the administration to withdraw, it's more than that. It was a diplomatic failure while she was Secretary of State to control Maliki, the Iraq president who was a Shiite, who then persecuted the Sunnis, who then ran and formed ISIS as a result.
Wow, that was a almost straight line.
Like that?
So on the Political Insiders on Fox Report on Sunday nights, we have two Democrats on set with me, and both of them agreed, Pat Caddell and Doug Schoen last night, that Hillary Clinton sort of leaned toward looking more like President Obama could be more and more in the coming days because she's worried about the early primary states. And she knows that if she doesn't, what are your thoughts?
Well, we've for months been talking about how Hillary Clinton's going to have to walk this line of not criticizing the administration while trying to prove how she's going to not be serving an Obama third term, right? So in this sense, she is towing the line of the administration by saying where we need to be. But when you look at President Obama's polling numbers on this issue of terrorism and overall his polling numbers on his approval of how he's handled national security, they're very low. So if she's going to choose something to criticize the administration about, it might be this, but then that puts the focus on her time at the State Department, what is the foreign policy record, the fact that she did work very closely with the White House on that foreign policy initiative, and it just, again, shows how out of touch she is. I mean, the FBI, this is not a foreign problem that is happening only in Iraq and Syria. The FBI in the United States has 1,000 open cases and pursuing leads on ISIS. I mean, this is a problem that affects people here, and that's what they're worried about.
Well, Andrea, it's interesting because if it's true that Hillary Clinton is sort of leaning toward the Barack Obama way of doing things so that she can build a better wall in those early primary states, which I can't even imagine. I'd have to see how Bernie Sanders is envisioning his path forward now, because this might show she's a little weak there. But why would you, as Katie pointed out, pick out the very thing that President Obama is most criticized for to make yourself look like him?
Because she can't escape it. I mean, she presided over our rapid withdrawal from Iraq, where we basically just handed the country over to the jihadists, along with $1 billion in weaponry that they're using against our men on the front lines. I mean, this is the greatest failure of an administration in foreign policy in the Middle East in ever. And you look at the Arab Spring that she presided over, Egypt, Libya. You go down the list, Harris. You look what's happening in Afghanistan. This is all the Clinton-Obama foreign policy. And she took the lead, and she takes credit for Libya in her book, Hard Choices. She does. She says, this was my decision. I'm the one that took ownership of that and Benghazi. So she has a lot of questions to answer. We know that she is incompetent, but worst of all, she looked the families of those 4 dead Americans in the eye, and she lied to their face. And there is nothing more despicable than that.
Katherine, real quick before we move on, the way that she got into the fact that we are at the right place where we need to be in our strategy, her contenders, the primary contenders on Saturday night, Bernie Sanders and Martin O'Malley, were saying that they were criticizing her for backing regime change in places like Libya and Syria. And she countered with those were complex problems and then said the line that everybody's talking about today. So she was trying to pivot.
Right.
Apparently.
Right. I guess that she has to hope that everything's fine because she's shown her record that she's really bad at this stuff. Because of her is why we're in this situation, like you were saying, for so many different reasons. So maybe she really does think it's fine because she really doesn't ever have seemed to have understood what's going on over there. I would like to see her take responsibility for something or answer one question or something. But right now she's just saying, oh, no, it's fine. Oh, no, this and that. Oh, yeah, by the way, Donald Trump's the worst, huh? And that's really all she's doing.
Wow. All right, we'll move on. President Obama is saying ISIS is not powerful enough to destroy the United States. So they're both talking about it. And then going on to sort of point the finger at the media, accusing them of fanning the flames of fear. We'll debate it. And by them, I mean, well, you know, those of us in the media. And a brand new chapter on what manages to offend college students these days. Here's a hint. Yum. It's food. Faux real. And there's more Outnumbered live online when the TV version of us wraps up. Go to foxnews.com/outnumbered. Click on the Overtime tab. OT, baby! There's a live chat. Get in on our conversation there. And if you're going social, hashtag that OT, baby.